If everyone would take their seats, we're about to get started, please. Good evening. It is 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, May the 10th, 2022. I would like to call the meeting of the Peoria City Council to order. I'd also like to welcome everyone in our City Council audience, as well as Brady Johnson and our listening audience at WCBU. I'd like to welcome the audience watching via cable channel 22. Madam Clerk, the council mics are open. Could you please call the roll? Over.
Mayor Ali. Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Councilmember Sear.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson. Here. Councilmember Jensen. Councilmember Euler.
Here.
Councilmember Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Riggenbach. Councilmember Ruckriegel.
Present.
And Councilmember Valpula.
Present.
We have a quorum present, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Please join me and stand for a moment of silent prayer or silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk.
We are at proclamations.
Okay. I have 4 proclamations. The first recognizes National Public Works Week, and I would ask Director of Public Works Rick Powers to please come forward. Proclamation reads, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Peoria. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of the city of Peoria to gain knowledge of and maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. Whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and this year's theme is Ready and Resilient. Now, therefore, I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim May 15th through 21, 2022, as National Public Works Week in Peoria, Illinois.
Thank you, Mayor, and good to see everyone. You pretty much took everything I was going to say because I went online and I saw Ready and Resilient this year. We call it Nimble. We've realized that with the resources we have, we do what we do. Last year when I came forward for the same thing, very similarly, we're referred to as people who quietly go about doing the business of the people. And I still want to believe that's what we do. In challenging times, we get up and we get done what we have to do daily and stand by for a flood, or stand by for a call, or stand by for a light, or stand by for whatever comes our way, or snow. We're on the other side of that, and now we're mowing. So it doesn't end for us, and all of you know that, but we very much appreciate what you think of our staff. I appreciate them more than you know, and I'm glad that they did take in the full complement of who is there, to include our engineering team, who is really working as hard as our operations team right now. And you don't get to say that often, but thank you for the recognition. I also brought Nicholas Mcmillan, who, after a very long search, is our new communications specialist in public works. So I want you to know his face and see, because you'll be seeing him, or when you call, he'll likely be responding to you or to the media. So I just wanted you to meet him, and I sent Cy home because he needs a rest. But you know he is here, and he is also the Illinois Central Chapter president for the American Public Works Association. So, Cy, I know you're listening, and I told him I sent you home. So, thank you very much. We appreciate the honor.
Thank you, Director. Welcome, Nicholas. They're going to be very busy this year with $60 million in road projects. The second proclamation is in honor of National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and we have Michelle Nielsen-Ott from Moms Demand Action and Shelley Kirker, also from Moms Demand Action. Whereas every day, more than 110 Americans are killed by gun violence, and on average, there are nearly 16,000 gun homicides every year. Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun violence than people in other high-income countries. Whereas Illinois has 1,505 gun deaths every year, with a rate of 12 deaths per 100,000 people. Illinois has the 35th highest rate of gun deaths in the U.S. And whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15. On June 3, 2022, to recognize the 25th birthday of Hadia Pendleton, people across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Hadia and other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. Whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange, chosen because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. Whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 3rd to raise awareness about gun violence and to honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. Now, therefore, I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim June 3rd, 2022 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Peoria.
Well, thank you so much for the proclamation. I'm a volunteer with the organization Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Sorry, a little nervous. And so every year we ask to commemorate this day just to bring awareness to the fact that, gun violence affects approximately 58% of Americans have of American adults have experienced gun violence in their lifetime. So we are just bringing awareness to that, and together we know we can build a future free from gun violence. So we ask to stand up, speak out, and participate in Wear Orange events to raise awareness. All the council members received a flyer for the blood drive that we are hosting on June 3rd. It's a mobile blood drive that will be hosted at the East Bluff Community Center in their parking lot. So we encourage anyone who is willing and able to give blood to sign up for that blood drive. And as you all know, anyway, blood is at a critical shortage, and this is one thing that we're doing to support our community. So thank you.
Thank you for all your efforts, Ms. Nielsen-Ott and Ms. Kirker. Thank you. Stick around, Michelle. Okay. This next proclamation recognizes Sculpture Walk in Peoria. And here we have Shannon Cox, the Executive Director of the Peoria Art Guild, and again, Michelle Nielsen-Ott, Sculpture Walk Peoria Committee. She's been very busy. She spoke today at the Women's Fund Leader Luncheon, so you've had a busy day there. The proclamation reads, whereas Sculpture Walk Peoria is a biennial juried outdoor exhibit that offers sculptors from around the world the opportunity to showcase their work in an outdoor setting in Peoria's Warehouse District. Whereas Sculpture Walk Peoria originated in 2008 when Joe Ritchie, owner of a local business and art gallery, was inspired to put sculptures on the streets of Peoria after visiting a similar walk in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In 2013, he formalized his ideal by organizing a steering committee to put the ideal into motion. In the fall of 2014, Ritchie and his committee worked with the City of Peoria's Downtown Advisory Commission and the City Council to identify several locations for the project along the newly renovated Washington Street. And whereas partnering with Arts Partners of Central Illinois, organizers of the inaugural Sculpture Walk Peoria ensured that 15 sculptures from 7 states were installed on Washington Street, transforming this thoroughfare into an outdoor art gallery. By strategically placing the artwork along this corridor, they not only brought visitors downtown, but activated the street by giving pedestrians something to look at, learn about, and interact with. Whereas since the first walk in 2015, and with the support of hundreds of community volunteers, Washington Street has displayed 74 sculptures by 55 artists. Docent-led tours of the walk have hosted thousands of visitors, and many of the pieces have been purchased and can be found on permanent display around Central Illinois. Whereas the Peoria Art Guild adopted the program in 2021, and they invite the public to view 8 new sculptures at their opening day festivities at the Peoria Riverfront Museum at 9 a.m. on Saturday, May 21st, 2022. Now, therefore, I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, do hereby acknowledge the success of Sculpture Walk Peoria. Ladies?
Thank you all again. So you get to hear from me a second time. It's better than coming like 2 times in a row, maybe, I guess. I don't know. But thank you all for this proclamation, also for Sculpture Walk Peoria. I am the chair of the Sculpture Walk Peoria Committee, and just want to invite everyone to our ribbon cutting ceremony, which will be on May 21st at 9 a.m. But the festivities will go until noon, and there's activities for all ages. What's very special about our sculpture walk compared to sculpture walks that happen all over the country is that our artists are on the walk during our opening event. So you are able to interact with them, ask them questions, learn more about their process, hear directly from them. And that is just a really special thing that happens at our sculpture walk that doesn't happen at other sculpture walks. So I hope that you are able to attend. Like I said, we have things for all ages. We are partnering with the Peoria Public Library, the Peoria Playhouse, and of course the Art Guild as well to do this. And so for the last several years, this project has been under the umbrella of Arts Partners, and we are now happy to be working under the Art Guild with Shannon Cox. So we're very excited. And so, and of course, it's a great day to be downtown. Like it's going to be good weather because it's always good weather for Sculpture Walk opening. It's always sunny and beautiful. So knock on wood, I guess. But it'll be a great time. You can come down and hit the market, hit the museum, hit Sculpture Walk, and have a fun-filled day in downtown Peoria. So thank you so much for the proclamation, and hope to see you all at the Sculpture Walk event later this month. Thank you. So excited.
I just want to take a minute to thank Arts Partners for trusting the Peoria Art Guild with this amazing biannual now event. We're very excited to have it, and we're very excited to take it into the future. And we just want to thank everybody that has supported it for all these years, and we hope that the torch carries on as long as we have, which is now 144 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cox, Ms. Nielsen-Ott. We're looking forward to it. And our final proclamation this evening recognizes the Metro Center's 50th anniversary. This proclamation was nominated by Councilmember Riggenbach, and we'll have him say a few words at the end, if that's okay. Okay. We have representing the Metro Center is Eric Brinker, the president, and Mr. Jason Fuller, the vice president, property management and leasing. And Jason has his family, his beautiful wife and beautiful daughter with them tonight. The proclamation reads, whereas nestled off the corner of University and Glenn, Metro Center was founded by Peoria real estate developer and community leader Marvin Goodman in 1971. Marvin's vision, with his wife Ellie as his biggest cheerleader, was to create a place where local businesses thrived and shoppers from around the region could be delighted at the variety of offerings and customer service. And whereas for the past 5 decades, shoppers have been greeted by friendly faces behind the registers, welcomed into the unique selection of stores, and delighted by the commitment to good old-fashioned service. Today, Metro Center continues to be owned and operated by Goodman's family with the same passion and community focus. And whereas Metro Center continues traditions true to its founding by hosting numerous local community events, including the Susan G. Coleman Walk and the long-standing Peoria Farmers Market. Metro Center also evolves to meet current interests. Last winter, Metro Center hosted Peoria's most Instagrammable holiday with 5 unique multi-sensory holiday photo backdrops for all to enjoy. Very interesting. Whereas the city of Peoria celebrates our small businesses for the contributions they make to our economy and the value they bring to our community members and visitors. With over 40 merchants, Metro Center continues to be the place in Peoria where local businesses flourish. Now, therefore, I, Rita Ali, Mayor of the City of Peoria, Illinois, do hereby celebrate the 50th anniversary of Metro Center in Peoria, Illinois. Mr. Brinker, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and to the council for recognizing us. We're incredibly touched. We're simply here on behalf of our 40-plus tenants who work so hard every day to help make our city what it is, the best city in America. And we're really incredibly proud to have made 50 years an amazing run, and we're ready for the next 50. So we're just getting started. And I'll just put in a little side plug. If you're not following us on Instagram, Jen Fuller, who is our social media manager, is doing an amazing job. So follow along and learn all about all the amazing things we're doing. But again, we're just incredibly grateful for this community and the support of this community, which has made it possible for these local businesses to thrive every day of the year. It's been a difficult 2 years, and I think if you drive through Metro Center today, you see it's still thriving, and that's a real testament to our community in being part of the heart of Peoria. And we are committed to the heart of Peoria and seeing it continue to thrive for years to come. So thank you for this recognition, and thank you for all you do for our city. So thank you.
Beautiful. And Councilman Riggenbach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say thank you to Eric and Jason for being here, and Jen and Olivia also. You know, the history of the Goodman family in Peoria is so storied. The 2 daughters, Susan G. Coleman and Nancy Brinker. Those are names that everybody knows, and if you don't, shame on you. And now, Eric, I just have to say, your grandfather must just be smiling, looking at what you were doing to the center. Talking about art and picking up on the sculpture walk, Big Picture installed one mural at the end of Metro Center last winter, and just a beautiful thing that is also interactive with many scenes from Peoria, and if you take your phone up to it, it'll give you a little tidbit about that as well. So we just are so proud to have you in Peoria, and thank you for your commitment to the city. And as the 3rd District Councilman, I'm happy to have you in the 3rd District as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, appreciate you. Madam Clerk,
We are at the minutes.
Councilman Euler.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I move to approve the minutes of the joint City Council and Town Board meeting held on April 26, 2022, as printed.
Seconded by Councilman Allen. Any questions or comments? If not, please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We have 2 town items. 22-149 is a request from the town officials to approve the April 2022 actual expenditures and to approve the May 2022 anticipated expenditures for the town of the City of Peoria.
Councilman Graham?
Madam Chair, I move to approve as outlined.
Seconded by by Trustee Euler. Any questions or comments? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
22-150 is a request from the town officials to approve a resolution certifying the submission of an advisory referendum question of public policy to electors at the November 8, 2022 general election, approved by the town electors at the April 12, 2022 annual town meeting.
Trustee Graham?
Move to approve the resolution.
Seconded by Trustee Jackson. Any questions, comments? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at the consent agenda. 22-151 is a communication from the Mayor and Interim Corporation Council with a request to approve the declaration of local state of emergency. 22-152 is a communication with a request to approve a substantial amendment to the 2020 HUD Consolidated Plan and 2021 Annual Action Plan. 22-153 is a communication with a request to approve the purchase of pavement marking material, modified urethane paint, in the amount of $126,562.50 from Colorado Paint. 22-154 is a communication with a request to approve a sole source purchase of 40 HP ZBook Fury 17 laptops and 40 HP Thunderbolt G2 docks from Basic-Its in the amount of $93,880 under the Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance 2020 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Grant. 22-155 is a communication with a request to approve a rail line lease agreement between the City of Peoria and Pioneer Industrial Railway Company. 22-156 is a communication with a request to approve and authorize the city manager to renew existing liability coverages with Chubb Insurance Company and Berkeley Insurance through Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Services at a one-year cost of $532,430 to add cyber liability coverage with Crum and Forster Insurance at a one-year cost of $42,061 and crime coverage with Hanover Insurance at a one-year cost of $2,685. 22-157 is a communication with a request to approve a resolution of proposed match funding for surface transportation block grant funds, state fiscal years 2025 and 2026, for Northmoor Road and University Street intersection. The federal funding requested will be $3,920,000, with a local match for construction no less than $1,680,000. 22-158 is a communication with recommendation to approve a resolution to increase the base salary of the city manager by 3%. 22-159 is a communication with request to approve the site application for a Class B restaurant, 50% food liquor license with on-site consumption and retail sale of alcohol with the subclass 1A, 2 a.m. closing hours for Second Worst LLC doing business as Doghouse at 4712 North University, Unit B, contingent upon the issuance of all appropriate permits and certificate of occupancy, with a recommendation from the Liquor Commission to approve. 22-160 is reappointment by Mayor Ali to the Police Pension Fund Board of Trustees, with a request to concur of Norm Burdick. And that concludes our consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any items to remove from consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion to approve? Councilman Ruckriegel, seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at first readings. 22-161 is a communication with a request to receive and file a first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 5 of the Code of the City of Peoria related to temporary boarding and securing of properties.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd asked Director Doolin to talk about this issue, and I think that maybe Councilman Gray may have some other comments to add with this one as well.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to bring this first reading forward. The current City of Peoria Code allows boarded up properties to remain boarded up for 180 days, and then they can request another 180-day extension. Staff was looking at ways that we could be more efficient and effective with our service delivery. We have kind of 5 current code enforcement inspectors who can do housing-related enforcement in the City of Peoria. So any tools that we can add to their ability to bring properties into compliance faster. And then with the market, the real estate market, the way it is in Peoria right now, sitting on a vacant, abandoned property isn't necessary. There's multiple reports and news stories have showed that the inventory of houses for sale is low. So if you want to continue to have boarded up properties and own them and sit on them, we want to try to put some tools in place to move you along faster to bring the property up to compliance. You know, a boarded up property in a neighborhood not only provides a blight to the entire neighborhood it's in, it decreases property values, it's a target for arson, it increases crime rate. So it's just not the look the neighborhoods want, and it's the feedback we've received directly from residents that, you know, if you're gonna put some specific focus and attention on properties to go after the worst of the worst, and this is a tool that allows us to do that by shortening that window from 180 days to 90 days. And we think this will be very valuable in being able to get those boarded up properties back into either responsible property owner's hands who's gonna fix them up, or the boards removed and create new housing opportunities for residents. So about 3 months ago, Councilman Grabe and I kind of discussed about this issue, and we did a kind of a visual inventory of boarded up properties in the 2nd District. What we discovered is about, just from a quick visual drive around, about 60 to 75 properties that were boarded up, when we did an analysis of the properties, about 60% of them were current on their property taxes. So they weren't actually abandoned. They were just being allowed to sit there. Someone was paying property taxes, not sure what they were waiting for. But so it's not one of those cases where it's a property that needs demoed, the ownership is tied up in an estate or anything like that. These are properties that we think with a quicker timeline, we can get them back into a more productive use where hopefully demolition isn't the key. One of the other reasons we're bringing forward this now is to correlate strongly with our increased demo budget that we have for 2022 and 2023. Staff is very appreciative of council allocating $1 million in 2022 and $1 million in 2023 for residential demolition. And so two kind of avenues. One, if a property is abandoned and meets that criteria, we're going to go after, get a demo order, take it down. This is another tool to go after those that don't meet that criteria and aren't abandoned, and hopefully save us from getting there one day where we need to abandon them. So, Councilman Grabe, I didn't know if you would like to add anything?
Councilman, thank you for your leadership on this. Please comment.
Well, I know that I'm certainly not the only council person to receive complaints about properties that sit interminably boarded up. It's a blight on our city landscape, and like so many maladaptive behaviors that we have in cities, a lot of this correlates directly with how much nonsense the governing board allows, in this case, the Peoria City Council. And those people who aren't pulling their weight, punching anywhere near their weight, need to have a little tap on the shoulder. Say, you live in a community and you do not have a right to have a property that detrimentally affects the property values in the neighborhoods. So I think this was, with the help of our administration and our city manager, Director Doolin, I think we've come up with a higher standard that can be lived with. And this is not to say at all that Director Doolin and his administrative staff can't, if there are certain situations that perhaps we cannot contemplate right now, that they could not bend a little bit on this rule, as we do on everything else, most everything else. So I would wholeheartedly be in support of this and would move to receive and file the first reading tonight of this ordinance.
Is there a second to receive and file? Seconded by Councilmember Riggenbach. Okay. Any questions or comments for the director? Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to also congratulate Councilman Grabe on leading the charge on this. This sounds very good. Director Doolin, just a question for perhaps clarity. If we have a property that's boarded up and they're paying taxes, what generally happens to them after the 180 days have passed?
Yes, sir. We would put them through the housing court process. We could write them citations. Previously, the ordinance allowed us to, essentially the ordinance says for every day past 180 days, you could get a $100 citation. We haven't had the staffing to be able to really enforce that in the past, and it's really hard to keep track after 6 months what was boarded up 6 months ago. I think with the efficiencies we've been able to achieve in the department the last 2 or 3 years, and then not having that kind of, it's hard to hold other people accountable when we're not accountable for ourselves. And when we own some property that sat boarded up because we didn't have the money to demo them, we didn't enforce it as well as we should have as well. So by tightening that window and tightening it down to 90 days, I think staff can stay on top of it quicker. And so after that 90 days, we'll do what we could have done after 180 days. We'll put you in the hearing officer process. Essentially, we don't want to fine or punish anyone if we don't have to. Our ultimate result is we will let them know their property's boarded up. They won't want citations or go to the hearing officer process, so they will fix up the property, remove the boards, remove it back to a condition that benefits the neighborhood, or if they choose not to do that, they could put it on the market, sell it to someone who will.
Okay, so I think what you're saying is if they're recalcitrant or whatever, if they remain currently, if they remain boarded up, the 180 days is the trigger for the hearing at the housing court.
It could be, but also being boarded up for 180 days would also potentially could also be used as a criteria for a demolition candidate as well.
And same would go for 90 days?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Welcome. Any other discussion or questions on this item? Councilman Graham, Director Doolin, Mr. Manager, thank you for your work on this. We have a motion to receive and file. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at regular business. 22-162 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Community Development with a request for one of the following. A, to concur with a recommendation from the CDBG Public Service Commission to approve funding recommendations for the nonprofit capital program in the amount of $488,560, or B, concur with the recommendation from the staff to approve funding recommendations for the nonprofit capital program in the amount of $563,085.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get a motion? Councilman Allen? It's A or B, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. You're on now.
Make a motion to approve item A.
Is that the motion? Is that the motion you wanted?
Yeah, we're on item A, correct?
Okay. Do you want to explain the difference, Director Doolin? Yes.
So appreciate the opportunity to bring this back. If council remembers, months ago when we received the American Rescue Plan dollars, after much public surveying, a large percentage of that money, about $2.5 million, went specifically towards neighborhood revitalization efforts. One of the programs staff recommended was taking some of that and leveraging some of our additional CDBG entitlement funds to create a nonprofit capital improvement program. We heard a lot of feedback from our nonprofits in the community who've also struggled during COVID, as much of our community has, about what we could do as a city to help support them. Phenomenal work by the Community Development Grants team to come up with this program that essentially provided capital improvements for our nonprofit community. We wanted the money to have a lasting impact in their buildings and services so it could be continued in the future, so it wasn't directly allowable for services. The recommendation in front of you, there's an A and B. Staff's recommendation is actually item B. The difference is, so the way the process worked is the commission, the Public Service Commission, did a phenomenal job, ranked all of the applications, and then submitted them for overall discussion at the commission. At the commission discussion, the difference between the two of them is a recommendation for the Holt Healthy Living Center's funding for their capital program. I believe, I don't want to speak for the commission, but I think in their discussions, based on a parent organization of Holt, they thought the next person up who would have been funded, the Carver Center, could have used the capital improvements a little more needed than the Holt Healthy Living Center, so the commission made a difficult decision with that recommendation. After some internal discussion, staff, looking at the scoring criteria that was approved by council and seeing that Holt actually had a higher score, thought that we could find additional funding to be able to fund 8 of the organizations. So Carver Center would get funded, but also Holt Healthy Living Center would also get funded. So staff's recommendation is actually B, so all 8 nonprofit capital programs could be funded in 2022. So that's staff's recommendation versus the commission's recommendation.
Thank you. Does that, hopefully that provides some clarification. Thank you. Councilmember Allen?
So I would like to make a motion to withdraw my motion
Okay.
for item A.
Okay. We never got to a second on that, so
Okay, so then I would like to make a motion for item B as outlined with the
Seconded
staff
by
recommendation.
Councilmember Rodrigo. Any other questions or comments? The motion is to approve item B. Councilmember Velpula?
Madam Mayor, I would like to recuse myself from voting because I serve on the board of Center for Prevention of Abuse.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes with one abstention. Velpula. Madam Clerk?
22-163 is a communication with a request to approve the purchase of real estate located at 1203 West Laux Avenue for the amount of $121,000 plus closing costs estimated at $10,000 for a total cost of $131,000.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do believe that our Public Works Director is here, and he can explain this situation that we have on Laux and our request to actually purchase this home. It's got a kind of a lengthy and unfortunate history, and we felt that this was the best approach that we could take at this point in time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Manager, can you hear me okay? So this property has actually been the subject of unfortunately, several accident reports with the Peoria Police Department, two of which where vehicles actually left the roadway and went into the structure. Staff visited the site several times, looked at what road improvements would be required to actually protect the structure, with the concern, obviously, of the occupant if a vehicle were to actually enter the structure and hit them. Looking at the options that we had, in order to keep a vehicle from leaving the roadway to go into the house, we would be creating a barrier tantamount to a brick wall that would put the motorist at danger or in peril, meaning it'd be like a dead end with other than, say, a guardrail that they couldn't overcome or cause significant damage or harm to the driver. And after looking at the cost of what improvements we were looking at to, say, an intermediate point of, say, slowing down the vehicle, doing what we would do, and we looked at the cost of the home versus those costs, we felt this was the best approach to take, was to just purchase the property and remove the structure and eliminate the danger. The property owner, as you can see, has agreed, and we've turned the matter over to legal for closing upon your approval. In a nutshell, that is the issue. We actually had a meeting with the district counselor, the manager, with the property owner. She was very amenable at the time, obviously very concerned what action we would be taking, and again, arrived at this conclusion with all involved.
Is this in District 2?
It is.
2, okay. All right, I think we have several questions. Mr. Manager?
Just since we're acquiring this property, we did an appraisal of the property, so we are paying the fair market value for this property. I just want to let council know that as well.
Councilmember Sear?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Mr. Manager. From which account does this money come from?
This would come from our capital fund. So this would come out of our capital budget, and we'd take the funds out of our capital fund.
But this would be a deviation from the budget that we agreed on last fall, correct?
That's correct. This would be an additional expense, so we would come back to you with a budget amendment to make that purchase.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. So that would require a supermajority vote?
That's correct.
Correct. Councilmember Euler?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Do we have any historic precedents of buying private property for reasons such as this and protecting private property?
Yes.
Can you give me what those are?
At the corner of Allen and Alta, where we put in the roundabout, we purchased a home that was right on the corner as we were looking to do that. That was done probably 5 years ago or 6 years ago when we put the roundabout in. We purchased the home that was actually not even in the city of Peoria because of how close it was. It was in the unincorporated part of the county, and then we added that in as a piece of property into the city after that purchase.
But that was done because of a plan change, correct? Not because cars were running into it?
That was done because of road construction that we were working on. And in this instance, I think that we're looking at this of saying that this is due to a safety issue that is occurring based upon the infrastructure that's been constructed and the way that the motoring public is using, is leaving Laux and getting onto Forest Hill. It's creating a dangerous situation.
But the infrastructure hasn't been changed in decades, correct?
That infrastructure was changed when we made some changes to Forest Hill, and probably 10 or 12 years ago, and maybe longer. I'm trying to think when that was, where Forest Hill, it used to be able to come onto Laux from Forest Hill, and now you can't do that. I'm trying to remember when exactly that change was made. So in the opposite direction, though, that's not people that are leaving Laux and that are entering onto Forest Hill and then heading points west and north.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Greb?
Manager, I'm glad you had precedent there, but in my 21 years, I've never seen anything like this. It's like there's a bullseye on this property, and we have a senior citizen who loves the house. She'd love to stay, but we can't guarantee her safety. And building a wall would seem to increase some liability for our city. It is a business decision only. She is very busy trying to find another place to live. She loves Peoria. But if you read these accident reports, which I did again before the meeting tonight, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We have a property in my district that has been struck numerous times by lightning, but people continue to buy it and live in it. And we've had fatalities there. But this senior citizen is not safe in this house. And I believe that I just am flabbergasted. To me, it doesn't seem to be that dangerous of an area. But here we have all the reports. And the last one so frightened her and traumatized her. She wondered what, if anything, could be done. And by the time we take a look at it and talk about building a wall and all these other things, we start getting into potential litigation of a motorist hitting the wall, and then we get sued for that. So I think this is a responsible thing to do, and hopefully we won't have any more of these to do for another, manager, 6, 12, 20, 50 years. This is an odd situation. That's all I can say.
Want to make a motion, Council?
I would move to approve the purchase.
Okay. Seconded by Councilman Velpula. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes, 1 nay. Euler. Madam Clerk?
22-164 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Public Works with a request for the following. A, adopt an ordinance to amend the 2022-2023 biennial budget relating to the use of $2 million of the 2022 Allen Road reconstruction funds for interim repairs at Allen Road from War Memorial Drive to Northmoor Road to allow the reconstruction project to be moved to 2025 in the amount of $850,000, and to move funds out of the Allen Road project into these respective projects to provide for interim repair at Pioneer Parkway and University Street intersection in the amount of $850,000, and to provide for interim repairs at Pioneer Parkway and Knoxville Avenue intersection in the amount of $300,000. B, adopt an ordinance amending the City of Peoria 2022-2023 biennial budget relating to the use of local motor fuel fund balance to provide for the interim repairs at Orange Prairie Road in War Memorial Drive to Charter Oak Road in the amount of $200,000. C, adopt an ordinance amending the City of Peoria 2022-2023 biennial budget relating to the use of stormwater utility fund balance to provide for interim repairs at Orange Prairie Road from War Memorial Drive to Charter Oak Road in the amount of $150,000. And D, approve change order number 1 for a $2 million extension of the HMA overlay contract 2021 with R.A. Cullinan and Son, and to authorize the city manager to execute the change order to add $2 million to the budget for a total budget amount of $2,749,719.92.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask our Public Works Director to explain this item for you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Madam Mayor, Council. What we have is a situation where we have two projects, this and Glen Avenue, that were scheduled to take place concurrently. Were those two projects to take place concurrently in full reconstruction, through review along with IDOT and others, and some of you may have read in the paper today about that, what would have transpired is likely we would have had a lot of traffic on War Memorial Drive. That concerned IDOT and us equally. So we started looking at what some alternatives could be other than creating that condition. And looking at it, found, quite frankly, the challenge created an opportunity for some other areas following a pretty rough winter that we haven't had, quite frankly, since I've been here, a relatively normal Midwest winter, which has exacerbated already bad conditions on these other roads that you see mentioned here, Orange Prairie, Nebraska, Pioneer Parkway, and Allen itself. That being said, we put our engineers to work and through some creative thinking, found a way to repurpose those dollars and schedule the work in a way that Glen project could take place, not adding the additional pressure onto War Memorial Drive. We would do an overlay or a Mcmillan overlay on Allen where it's scheduled for reconstruction prior to that taking place, providing for a smooth road surface that should give us about 5 years of active service life, carrying us into the next budget season, and then, of course, re-entering Allen into it as a candidate for reconstruction, because we will not be doing the full reconstruction. We'll just do an overlay of the surface and some patching. The additional balance from that project, rather than leaving it, quote, on the table or not spending it and holding it, we felt would be better spent, again, in some of those areas where we know, and again, I mentioned them, Orange Prairie, Nebraska, Pioneer Parkway, that are desperately in need of repair, and this winter was brutal on. So we are going to take like treatments on each of those roads for this year and next. So this year you will see, as you see outlined in the spreadsheet, Allen Road will be overlaid probably toward the end of this month. So that would be first, since that's where we got the project dollars from. Pioneer Parkway will be also in this year. And then Orange Prairie, we will start probably maybe some patching this year, but most of the overlay will take place next year in 23. And then Nebraska, the same, we will do next year. And we were able to, again, reallocate those dollars in that way to get more life out of those roads. With the consideration of Orange Prairie in particular, as you know, for those of you who are familiar with that road, it is in need of significant repair in and of itself. And again, we're looking to try to buy, for the lack of a better term, a road surface that will last until we can begin to execute a near $18 million reconstruction on that road. So that is where we are getting. Now that is in our CIP. You see it in the out years. So we are looking to get that time to carry us with that road surface to execute on that reconstruction letting. I could go on and on, but that is pretty much it. I will, and I'm sure you have many questions, so I'll leave it there.
Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to the ingenuity of Director Powers and our Public Works staff. I think this is a good option based off the recommendations with having both projects happening concurrently and the traffic concerns that it would have had on War Memorial. being able to address some streets in our city, two of those within my district that I've inherited, Orange Prairie, but I appreciate Councilman Sear for his advocacy for that road as well too. And also it's good to have that citywide perspective when we can address Nebraska as well as, what was the other street? Pioneer Parkway as well too. How can we forget Pioneer Park? So I'm very excited about that. And with that being said, I move for approval for item A.
Seconded by Councilmember Sear. Councilmember Riggenbach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I, too, want to thank the Public Works Department for thinking a little outside the box and coming up with what looks like a very viable solution. Just a couple details. What's the section of Nebraska that's going to be done?
Bear with
The
me.
whole street needs it, as we all know. But
It's in the text here.
oh, I missed it. Sorry.
Nebraska from Sterling to I-74.
Sterling to 74. Thank you. And then something that we had quite a bit of discussion with a number of years ago is the quality of the construction that we do. And I don't expect you to know this off the top of your head, but Orange Prairie Road is not that old. And I think it just speaks to the lack of diligence 20 years ago or whenever that was built, that, you know, we did make adjustments to our standards. And I certainly hope with all the construction taking place now that we make sure that we're building roads that are going to last and that we're not going to have an $18 million reconstruction project in our lifetime again. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. I think that road is at least 40 years old.
Is it that old?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I agree with what you're saying. Councilmember Graham?
Director, a question, and thank you again, staff, for performing the miracle of the lows, kind of tiding us over a bit until we can really get at it. Are there any light fixtures anticipated for Allen Road between Northmoor and Wardrive?
I do not know the answer to that, Council. I'll have to get back to you.
Absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. The light fixtures and the improvements that have been made on Northmoor near Exposition Gardens, Rolling Acres, and Richwoods High School. Similar to light fixtures, ornamental light fixtures we've put up all over the city. And if you could just let me know, and I thank you again, your staff, for thinking so creatively about how we can give relief to people who've been paying very high bills for electronic suspension systems that have been ruined and axles broken and you name it. And this was a good solution for right now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just as an aside, Councilmember Riggenbach, about 40 years ago, I went to a toga party, and I had to go through Orange Prairie Road. So most of you young people don't know what a toga party is. But they did. They happened. Any other comments? Please cast your ballots on A. Motion passes unanimously. Councilmember Allen?
I move for approval for item B, please.
Seconded by Councilmember Sear. Any other comments? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Councilmember Allen?
Move for approval for item C, please.
Seconded by Councilmember Sear. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Councilmember Allen?
I move for approval for item D, please.
Seconded by Councilmember Sear. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Director, and your entire team for that creative solution. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk?
We are at unfinished business. 22-119 is a communication from the City Manager and Corporation Council with a request to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 18, Article 4, Subsections 97 and 103 of the Code of the City of Peoria regarding video gaming fees.
Oh, excuse me. Which one of you? Council?
Mayor, before I say anything, I think there's a councilman that may want to comment first.
Okay. Sorry. All right, Councilmember Rickenbach.
If I may, I would ask for a 2-week deferral to our May 24th meeting on this item so we can continue to gather information.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Seer. Did you have a comment still or no?
Not unless there are any questions, ma'am.
Okay, got it. Okay, any other questions or comments on this? We have a motion for a 2-week deferral. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
Do we have any other unfinished business?
Any other unfinished?
Then we are at new business.
Okay. New business, Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The National Association of Letter Carriers are having their 30th annual Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive on Saturday, May 14. Residents who want to give non-perishable foods can leave them next to their mailbox on May 14. Your mail carrier will pick up the items donated, and the non-perishable food collected will be sent to PC CEO on McBean Street in Peoria and food banks in surrounding towns. So I want to make everyone aware of this very great cause that the National Association of Letter Carriers is conducting for all of us to help our underserved.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Riggenbach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is something I brought up briefly at the last meeting, and I've talked to several of my colleagues about this, but I really think we need to look at reducing or eliminating the licensing fee for food carts for this year. As we continue to come out of the pandemic, we've been offering assistance through various forms of the ARPA money to businesses, to nonprofits, to individuals, and I think it would behoove us to at least have a discussion as a council to see what the repercussions of that could be. $3,400 is the annual licensing fee for a food cart. Clearly, the population of the downtown workforce isn't what it was in 2019's, and while it is building, I would say there's staffing, there's any number of reasons why those food carts aren't coming back. So I think if we would consider eliminating one of the barriers to that perhaps we could see some activity again and just bring a sense of vibrancy back to downtown. I'm sure all those 500 employees at OSF would be happy to have some more lunch options, and I can tell you that 20 of us at Merrill Lynch would be pretty excited about it as well. So, Mr. Manager, Corporation Council, if you could look at that and see exactly how we could go about doing something like that as a one-year COVID relief package for the food carts and food trucks for that matter as well.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the council may know, there have been some meetings of the, I guess we'd call it the Landlord Registration Committee, which you're all invited to. We've had some participation from the council. We have to be careful about having more than 3 there. That's the only problem. But we've been moving along, and one of the things that came up at our most recent meeting, we've had 3 meetings. Our most recent meeting was that I should ask this evening the manager to bring us back a proposal for the land bank to purchase all of the City of Peoria properties at the county trustees' tax auction each year, to get them into our bailiwick, get demolitions done on a more timely basis, work with the remaining folks, etc. So, Mr. Manager, if you could bring us back a report at our next meeting. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Valpula.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since the budget has been, we voted on the budget and it's already 6 months, and we allocated somewhere 2.4 million for economic development. We have listed several programs in that, and I don't know if it is too early to ask, but if I could get, we could get a report back on what was done to see exactly whether the initiatives that were taken are really benefiting the small businesses. Who is benefiting? What was the benefit? Are the end goals reached? And I just wanted to, see if I can have a look at it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Euler.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'd like to use privilege of the floor to welcome Dylan Crank and his mom, Rhonda. Dylan's 10 years old, and he's here to learn what it's like to be a city council member.
Let's have him come up. You want him to come up? Come on up, Mr. Dylan. Did you say Dylan?
Yeah.
Lower the microphone and tell us your name, your school, and anything else you want to share.
Hi, my name is Dylan. I go to St. Jude. I've been watching all this, and I've been thinking it's really cool. It's really cool how it all goes, all the votes and validation stuff. And I guess been very enjoying it, so thank you.
You're welcome. Who are you here with, Dylan?
My mom.
Your mom? I think that after the council meeting, you should come up and get in Councilman Euler's chair and take some pictures. How about that?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. We thank you for being here. Got good aspirations. Let's give Dylan a hand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Sear.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming to the celebration last week of the Peoria Rivermen finally bringing home the President Cup after winning the championship. It's been a great season. Hockey's been in Peoria for 40 years now. So they've been celebrating their 40th anniversary all season long, and I cannot think of a better way to finish the season with a championship. So congratulations to the Peoria Rivermen. Congratulations to the family of ownership that they have over there, Mr. Ewell and also Mr. Bart Rogers. I need to congratulate Jean-Guy Trudel, the coach of the Rivermen's, been there for 8 seasons and finally got it done. There's no more committed coaches that I know than Jean-Guy, and so he's done a fantastic job, not just being a coach, but being a mentor to all these young players. And I have to congratulate finally Alec Hagerman, who is the captain of the team and who also a local product, born and raised right here in Peoria. So very proud of all these young players, these men. They're all champions forever. And I think the community here in Peoria is very proud of all of them. And so I congratulate them. I congratulate the fans and everybody involved in this fantastic season. And thank you very much, Madam Mayor, for being there with us.
Thank you, and it was an honor. Truly. was truly an honor. I mean, this is a big deal. This is the Peoria Rivermen team, and they brought the cup home to Peoria, and we want to congratulate the team, everybody who supports the team, including all those great Rivermen fans. So, thank you, Councilman. Any other new business? Councilmember Graham.
Manager, I know you've been looking at the food angle downtown from the standpoint of food trucks, and I think he had a conjunction, said food carts and food trucks. I know you've been working on this, so if we could get kind of a report back on what we might be able to do to encourage more vitality in this area. I'm 100% agreement with Councilor Ruck. Councilor Ruck-Riegel agrees with me too, and Councilor Riggenbach. So you did hear the and food trucks. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's no more lights, Madam Clerk.
We are at citizens' opportunity to address the City Council and Town Board. We have not received any cards.
Okay, we can move on.
Okay. So then we are at adjournment into executive session.
Moved by Councilman, oh, okay, first, let's hear from council first. Council?
Are you ready for the reasons for exec?
Pardon me?
We are moving into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C2, collective negotiating matters, and 21 to discuss minutes.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Sears, seconded by Councilman Ruck-Riegel to adjourn into exec. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes. Thank you for your service.
You can keep that as a